For so long, the disabled population was not seen nor heard of. They were virtually invisible behind the walls of an institutionalized system.
Nice clapping! That was super fantastic. You earned another penny. Great job. Two more and you get juice. Nice, getting ready to work. Fine, stop. That said, stop. You are so smart. You're doing great work. Make it look like mine. You made it look the same. Good job. Touch your nose.
This is Ryan, just one face in the rising tide of our society's disabled population. Kids who at one time faced a bleak life, but today have new hope and opportunities in a more enlightened, inclusive approach to recognizing the special gifts and contributions kids like Ryan can make. The future is bright for the young disabled community, as opportunities for them are growing every day. In the 20th century, a large percentage of people who were considered mentally challenged were segregated into institutional living. They were considered second-class citizens and were ultimately treated as such. Their living conditions were horrible, and many of them faced emotional and physical abuse. They were automatically destined to a life of segregation without any hope of inclusion to society. Since the dark times of institutions, extensive measures have been taken in order to prepare the growing disabled population for the real world and the workforce. Some start at a young age, as seen in the earlier video clip. Ryan was doing Applied Behavior Analysis Therapy, or ABA. ABA is used for a wide variety of disabled people with ages ranging from toddler to young adult.
Okay. So whenever I start to set up a program for a child with autism, an ABA program, I'm thinking about several things. One is what skill sets are going to make them the most individual, in the sense that they can do the most things on their own, that they can be independent. Individual probably wasn't the best word. Independent is a better word. But also finding those skills that are also family goals. And so looking at what skills the individual is going to need to be able to adapt to function in, to achieve the best of their potential in whatever environments they're going to find themselves in, which differ from family to family. So I think right now we're in a bit of a crisis in terms of employment for adults, particularly adults on the autism spectrum disorder. I think that depending on, because it's a spectrum disorder, the outcomes are different, the individual functioning levels are different, and so you can see individuals employed from being computer scientists to engineers to working in the food industry or the service industry to custodial work. And the challenge, I think, right now is that we aren't necessarily preparing employers to hire individuals on the autism spectrum. And so you actually see the majority of adults on the autism spectrum not employed, which is unfortunate. I think a lot of it comes from family, getting them involved in either other recreational activities, so different clubs or different sports or different sorts of programs, both those that are specifically created for individuals with special needs or those that other individuals without special needs also participate in. I think that school-based programs sometimes have community-based instruction environments where individuals on the spectrum will go out to different community areas, to restaurants, to stores, just to access different supports. But mostly I think it's the family that pushes that sort of interaction and creates those opportunities. I think creating a level of independence is important, and so that you are able to access different resources, that you're able to ask for your wants and needs, that you're able to ask for information to get you access to other information. I think that's one. I think safety skills are important, and so depending on the level of functioning for the individual, oftentimes we're still targeting how to look both ways when you cross the street, not to walk out in front of incoming traffic, or to stay with the responsible adult or caregiver. And so those are some pieces. I think also how to set up your own boundaries with respect to what your level of tolerable social interaction is. So just like all of us, there's a certain point in time in our day that we say enough people, we need to decompress, we need to be at home, we need to move ourselves out of this environment, it's too overwhelming. I think many of those same sorts of things come into play in terms of what you're trying to set in place for helping that learner to achieve that same sort of balance and to communicate that balance for themselves. I think there's a lot that we still need to do. I started working in the discipline nearly 20 years ago now, and at that time, it was autism would usually evoke the reaction of, oh, you mean like Rain Man, or never heard of it before, or that's a terrible situation. And I think we've made a lot of progress since that. It doesn't necessarily evoke Rain Man anymore. It's, oh, my neighbor's cousin, or oh, my neighbor, or oh, my sister-in-law, or my so-and-so has been affected by autism. So I think the word itself has at least come to evoke some different sort of familiarity with different members of our communities. However, I don't think that we have put the supports in place that we need to have the transition in particular to adulthood to help those individuals to lead a fulfilling, enriched life and have a good quality of life. The majority of individuals who become adults on the autism spectrum end up sitting on their parents' couches after high school or college graduation, and that's not the quality of life that you would want for your typically developing child. And so I don't think that we can be satisfied with that being the outcome for the majority of the adults on the autism spectrum either. So yes, we're better prepared, but we still have a lot of work to do.
The statistics for the cost associated with developmental disabilities such as autism are bleak. 1 in 68 children today are diagnosed with autism. The lifetime cost of caring for these individuals is $2.4 million if they also have an intellectual disability. These individuals face severe shortages of residential facilities and employment opportunities. The lack of educational, therapeutic, residential, and vocational support for the disabled community negatively impacts their opportunities to become independent. This lack of funding is counterproductive, as it doesn't give people with special needs a chance to meaningfully participate in society. Therapy is essential for getting them ready to make a life for themselves in the workforce, and this simply isn't possible without proper funding. But there is hope. Proper therapy and improved employment opportunities have been proven to result in a better life for people with disabilities. Behavior Network provides services to disabled people with a wide variety of severity. Their mission is to teach the disabled population to live as independently as possible.
I think skills, especially if you're looking for vocational type skills, there's skills involved with like self-help that are really important, being able to take care of yourself and take yourself to the restroom and all of that, and ask for help when you need it. Unfortunately, those are overlooked a lot. And then being able to do different things for different people and listen and kind of follow the group and what they're doing and how they're doing things, and learn from watching other people. Some kids, you start seeing huge progress after a week, a month. Some kids you don't start to see progress until like 3 to 6 months. Every kid or individual with autism or any developmental disability is so different. For me, one of my biggest goals is what the families want to see. If the families want to see them be able to go and live on their own, then that's what I'm going for. If the families want to see them have a job, that's what I'm going for. If they want them to just be able to wash themselves in the shower and use the restroom on their own, then that's my goal. I want them to be able to do as much as they physically can with as little help as possible and be happy. That's important too. I try to switch things up as much as possible and do different things and practice things in different environments, because you never really know how long you're going to have them for, when they're going to move on to a different program or when they're just ready to move on, period. And so one of my things that I like to do is just expose them to different places and different ways of doing things. And Bobby over here does it this way and Sally over here does it this way, and we're going to try it both ways and see which way you like more. Some clients you start a little bit younger, and then some clients you wait until they're like 16, 17. Typically by the time most of my clients get to like 13, 14, that's when I start encouraging the families more to go that way. We have longer. There's a lot less opportunities for services for young adults, and unfortunately they get looked over a lot. They get skipped when people are looking at who they're going to provide services for. And so I would say that they're even more critical because they are getting older, and then you've got big life changes coming, like high school or graduating and getting a job or dating or things like that that completely rock their world. And if they don't have a support system to go back on to help them work through those things and get the skills to make it through it, then yeah. So I think it's great. There are a lot of places coming out that are hiring more young adults and teenagers with developmental disabilities, and that wasn't around 15, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago in a lot of places. And so thankfully a lot of more businesses are open to it and willing to work with them. And so we're getting there, slowly but surely.
Hugs Cafe is a prime example of an organization that is actively working to get the special needs community into the workforce. Organizations such as Hugs stand as a beacon of hope for the disabled who want to become involved in society.
Rush at Hugs Cafe in McKinney, Texas, and the orders are coming in fast.
Guys, can I get a wedding cake cookie, please?
Here, the food is served with a side of hope.
It's a place of joy. You see these wonderful people accomplishing something that they've never been able to accomplish before. How are you?
On the verge of retirement, Ruth Thompson had the same dream 2 nights in a row, opening a restaurant mostly staffed by people with special needs. But there was one problem.
We had never started a business, never run a restaurant.
That didn't stop Ruth. Her dream created jobs for 22 people, including Kaylin Bradley, who has Down syndrome. How does working here at Hugs make you feel?
Really good.
How good?
Really great.
For many people with special needs, there are few opportunities for rewarding work.
It has given Kaylin a sense of purpose, a sense of self-worth.
And a chance to nurture her love of baking.
One day, I want to open my own bakery. I would like to hire other people with special needs.
On this day, the line stretched out the door. Nicole Brooks often brings her son Wyatt, who has Down syndrome.
At Hugs, he sees people being valued by their community, and when he gets older, that's what we want for him.
It's an idea this community has embraced, one sandwich at a time.
No one has ever walked out of the doors in a bad mood.
A restaurant that lives up to its name. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, McKinney, Texas.
It's been a long and ever-evolving journey to bring the special needs population out from behind the shadows of institutional walls and into the light. With that acknowledgement and embrace comes awareness that indeed their special gifts and contributions are a viable asset to our community. Visionary models like Hugs Cafe will hopefully ignite a call to action toward inclusion. For not only does this provide a sense of purpose and self-worth for these young adults, but the authenticity and love they exude is sure to be a gift for us all.